All right, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another We've Read the Documents live stream. I'm your host, John Brisson. I want to thank Sebs and Allie from Doom and Gloom for sending this to me. I'm going to have the ladies on this evening to have a discussion, probably around 8:45. So be there if you can. We're going to play a little bit of Council for National Policy member Erik Prince, and it's like all of his family. They're also in the formation of the Prince family was in the formation of the Council for National Policy, very early inception. And CNP member Stephen K. Bannon, who quotes behind them because, pardon my French, only douchebags generally quote themselves when they post quotes of themselves on Twitter or Instagram, or I guess make some sort of plaque of a quote of themselves. There are no conspiracies, but there are no coincidences. And he's got an American flag in the back, a hat, the getter, a cross, and an iconography of Jesus Christ. Of course, Bannon is not a Christian. He is a traditionalist, and would you'd say probably believes in a more bastardized version of Aryan Hinduism, in a chaos magician as well. So he's just trying to play up to Christians and to conservatives and Christian conservatives. And I'm your guy, right? Because I got the American flag and I got an iconography of Jesus and a cross, and I'm proud to be an American. 'Cause at least I know I'm free. So, he's kind of playing on people who are true patriots, or, people who are Christians. I once fell for Bannon's stick of the psychographical, psychological, and spiritual warfare that Stephen K. Bannon pushes as a chaos magician. And so we have Erik Prince on. Erik Prince, former founder and CEO of Blackwater, is as evil as they possibly come. Who is, modern day representations of the Knights of Malta, his Catholic background. And so here is first, we're going to discuss Erik Prince and Stephen K. Bannon discussing China. Now, remember, Erik Prince allegedly helped the Communist Chinese Party, the CCP, with with them help putting up the security and offering the security and the training for the Uyghur concentration camps in China, and probably concentration camps for Chinese Christians as well. I wouldn't doubt it, because Erik Prince is an evil. This is an evil human being, a fallen evil human being, possessed by horrific demons, talking to another horrific fallen human being possessed by many demons. These people are both evil. They're evil personified. So they're going to discuss how we can overcome China, but yet Erik Prince is in bed with China. The hypocrisy knows no bounds.
Really honored to have you on here, Vicar. We're going to talk about something you've been working on for the remainder of this of the hour. But I asked you to come in. This is the third week in a row we've done a special on this Third World War, because it's on. Game's on. Because war
Oh, you heard it here first, folks. Third World War.
Today, as you and I have talked about, is hybrid. You have information war, cyber war, economic war, and kinetic. When you finally get to kinetic, it's kind of the last thing, but the most powerful. We're going to talk about Ukraine. This, Asian culture as well as anybody. When they go to Alaska and insult Blinken to his face, when they go to Rome and spend 7 hours, Tiger Yang, yelling at Sullivan, when they had the conference call, the televideo with Biden, and they put out the readout 10 minutes later and said, we told the Americans this is what's going to be, and the Financial Times puts on the front page, Biden 3.5 hours later totally lies and spins, totally different readout. When they get General Austin in his face yesterday, and people have to understand this, they said, and they're a subtle people, how about this? We're going to war over Taiwan, a shooting war over Taiwan, and we dare you, the United States, to try to stop us. Where are we then in this conflict?
It's a consistency of the absence or the destruction of deterrence by the Biden administration. It started with Afghanistan, and just the foreign policy screw up after foreign policy screw up.
It's all Biden's fault. All the blame is being put on Biden, a senile old man who's lost it. not the power players behind Biden, Atlantic Council, the Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission. No, they'd have nothing to do with what Biden's doing. It's all Biden. It's Biden's fault. It's his fault. Erik Prince is just itching for some sort of hot war so he could step in. Oh man, he's salivating in the mouth. The amount of money that could be made, the amount of tricks and games he can play on the populace, and the lies and deceit that he could peddle, and the people that could be murdered. He's just salivating. He's like, yeah, Bannon salivating too. They both salivate over the same thing. Ilk cut from the same cloth.
What they promised in Ukraine now, not delivering. They promised all kinds of weapons. Less than 5% have actually been delivered. So
is this why we're going to get Ben Harwell later? Because he's following this tracks out of our International Bureau in Rome. Because today,
yeah, Erik Prince, didn't you train the Ukraine military? Didn't you train the Ukrainians? Oh wait, that deal never supposedly fell. That never came to fruition and fell through, right? Biden put it into that, or did he? Or did he not? When he became elected in 2020, because that was a deal that you had with Trump and the CNP to train the Ukrainians with Zelensky, but that never happened, right? Or did or didn't it happen? We don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. So that means the Azov Battalion would have been trained by Erik Prince, among others. But, the progressives aren't going to talk about that because they can't now. They're neoconservatives now, you guys, okay? There's nothing Nazi at all about the Azov Battalion, okay? They're a bunch of... They some good guys, just trying to get their lives back together and protect their nation. Okay, there's nothing Nazi or racist about the Azov Battalion at all. The Black Sun logo, John, how dare you? You must be some sort of Russian propagandist. Can't stand either side. I feel bad for the people of Ukraine, the Russian people. They're being handicapped and tortured by the war and the sanctions and everything else. But people are dying. I even feel bad for the young Russian conscripts in the military. It's not their war. It's not a war that they necessarily want to be a part of. Some of them, yeah, sure, but not all of them. I guess no one has any sympathy anymore. No one, you're supposed to pick your team. Go put your Ukraine flag out. I stand with Ukraine. Or go put your Russian flag out if you're MAGA. It's ridiculous.
The big news in Ukraine is they're coming back and saying, we're out of everything. You need to send more immediately. Are you saying that the $40 billion hasn't been spent or it hasn't gotten there?
It might have been spent, but it certainly hasn't been delivered.
So the defense counter's been paid, but it hasn't been gotten there.
Correct.
How can that possibly be? I thought we were the logistics experts in the world, and NATO. If NATO can't fight, but at least they can move stuff around, how could it not be?
Well, and that goes to you can drive a train still across the border, right? So that makes
Posobiec took a 700 trip. He went all the way down to Odessa.
Sure, I have contacts that were just in Kiev, and they're still getting sushi, right? So the fact that you can have fresh fish means there's a logistics chain flowing. But trying to resupply Taiwan, if they invade and they attack, it's hard, right? First of all, a maritime invasion of Taiwan is an industrial problem for the Chinese, right? You have to move hundreds of thousands of people across 70 miles of waterway, put them into an urban area, which is pretty easy for the defenders. If the Taiwanese will get serious about their defense, they still don't.
What do you mean serious?
They don't even spend 2% of their GDP on their national defense.
So the CNP has vested interest in protecting Taiwan for China. And look, I have in-laws that are Taiwanese. I understand that Taiwan doesn't want to be a part of the CCP, of the communist mainland China. I get that, and I sympathize and empathize. But the CNP has been, at least on paper, acting like it wants to protect Taiwan for close to 4 decades now. And so it's very interesting, this dichotomy of, what, Prince is going to go over there to protect Taiwan, just like Prince was involved in training the Ukrainian military forces, and likely the Azov Battalion, right before the war between Russia and Ukraine even happened. So I mean, is that what they're setting up for? You know, and I understand Bannon taking the position on the side of the Ukrainian military, because he's angry at Dugin. If that kayfabe is to even be believed, that that now Bannon all of a sudden doesn't want a unipolar world, and is a multipolar world, and is only for a unipolar world with America being on top. Well, some people could say that Bannon's always said that, right? But now I'm not so sure. It gets confusing sometimes with the twists and turns of these chaos magicians, the different stances that they believe and push. They only push what's advantageous to destroy society and its institutions, which, I mean, they're corrupt, don't get me wrong, but, it's very complicated discussion and frame of mind and everything that one has to have to realize, yes, the institutions are corrupted, especially first world like America. However, we don't want people like Bannon to completely absolve them and then put in some other form of institution. That's how the old world order is destroyed. The new world order is laid in. So that's what these two people are discussing right now. Is and they're pushing for, because Bannon wants us to supposedly invade and conquer the CCP because they're the evil of the world, and Xi Jinping is the devil. Which would put him at odds with Russia, because Russia and China are at least tentatively supposedly allies, and Xi and Putin are tentatively supposed to be allies. But that's a parapolitical and a geopolitical discussion that we really don't even know that's happening, or the truth, or what's going on, behind the scenes, and the moves that are being made. I mean, the way I look at them is they're all in bed with each other to some degree, they serve Satan, and ultimately they have to answer to God. Ultimately, God is control; He's sovereign. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it. Is Putin was a part of the World Economic Forum. Putin left the World Economic Forum because he had to give the oppression that he left, right? Because he's fighting for the world, right? And in my opinion, they're all evil and corrupt. All of them.
Because they're dependent upon the Americans, right?
They're dependent on the Pentagon, which doesn't understand asymmetric warfare and fighting this in a clever way. If they did a proper home guard in Taiwan, you only need 2 to 4% of that population that will add to the initial soldiers to make it a very difficult problem. Because China, if they're going to seize Taiwan, they have to do it quick. They cannot sustain the kind of sanctions.
I don't know if Denver's got a map. If we can put a map of China up, I want to go to some specific details, and for our podcast audience, pull a map of China out of this. In Normandy, in one of the great amphibious operations, the greatest in history. There was misdirection plays nonstop. They always thought they were coming across in Calais, led by Patton.
They kept Patton with the 7th Army, a fictitious army.
Project Fortitude was an entire misdirection play that was so sophisticated that even though we massed troops down in the southern part, and that was actually the Normandy invasion, even at the end, Hitler wouldn't let reserves go. How can you, just walk me through the logistics, before you get shipborne or air capacity or anything, how do you get enough equipment down into Fujian province without our satellites, everything, understanding every troop movement going?
So correct. That's
We used to believe in the conspiracy movement, the truther movement, which I hate calling it those terms, that all wars were banksters' wars. All wars were elite wars. You can also at least ascribe that to the modern times. To all revolutions are banksters' revolutions. All revolutions are elite revolutions. It's just a changing of a guard. Some people would even say the American Revolution was just that. So I mean, but now, since they've reframed everything, that is no longer the case. People pick sides. The MAGA conservatives ally with Putin and Russia. The progressives ally themselves with Ukraine because that's what they're told to do. Everybody just believes the current thing, or I support the current thing, or I believe the current narrative, or support the current narrative, depending on which side that you fall yourself on, because it's rah go team instead of anybody actually trying to discern the truth. And there are people who do. Don't get me wrong. You know, many people who are listening out there in my audience do. There's excellent researchers who I don't necessarily agree with everything, but nonetheless, you know, people that I've had on this channel when it comes to parapolitics, like Recluse or Jeremy Rothschild and Greg McCarran, you know, it's very complex. It's very complex. And so because of everything that's happening, you're going to have to choose to pick a side. So if there is a war in China, you're going to, you know, between China and Taiwan, where China tries to invade Taiwan, and it will be an invasion. And, you know, I would side with, you know, the Taiwanese people and in that example, if that does happen, if that comes to fruition. I'm not going to side with the Taiwanese government or military, though. But, you know, if that happens, then, you know, it'd be interesting to see which progressives, if this was a few years ago before Max Blumenthal, who's Sidney Blumenthal's son, all of a sudden decided to be a mole to kind of gain CNP sympathy, it looks like. So now, all of a sudden, somehow or another, Max Blumenthal is a conservative darling because of COVID. I don't even know how that happens, okay? We got to remember that his father is Sidney Blumenthal. He's in deep with the Clintons, all right? But, you know, Max Blumenthal used to run around and say that China, you know, communist Chinese, China did no wrong. And there's no Uyghur concentration camps or Christians are persecuted over China. It's a utopia. I wonder if this war happens between Taiwan and China, which would spark World War III likely. When Max Blumenthal, you know, who cheerleaded for China, for, you know, me and the spokesman had discussed this for many years, it has been kind of like they're one of their loudest people on the bullhorn of how perfect utopia communist China is. I wonder he'd be stuck between a rock and a hard place in his operation at that point, because what is he gonna? He's gonna talk bad about Xi Jinping and China after getting on their boots and licking them for years. That would be odd, because then all of a sudden, you know, he had no leg to stand on at all. And then if he does all of a sudden praise China and side with China and Chinese invasion of Taiwan, then, you know, the conservatives would turn against him. So he's going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place in the Chinese invasion of Taiwan if it ever happens. I know I don't feel bad for Max Blumenthal. He digged his own hole in that. He's a disgusting human being. And so is his father, Sidney Blumenthal. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But, you know, you're gonna have to pick a side. You're gonna have to pick a side in World War III. And if it ever turns into a hot war, I wonder all the people who are rooting for Russia when they join with the communist Chinese, if that happens, are they going to root for America and the European Union then? Are they going to switch? A lot of the conservatives have been duped. Is it going to be rah, go team? It's going to be very interesting how this morphs. If World War III is truly happening, if we're heading into the end times, it's going to be quite interesting where the conservatives lie as a whole and where the progressives lie as a whole in the United States of America, and which side they're chosen to rah, go team, and we'll see. We'll see, because it's very complicated then. Oswald Spengler mentioned Max Blumenthal has been on the same podcast as Chabad Zev Zelenko now, but different episodes. Yeah, seems about right. Max Blumenthal is now a darling of the CNP conservative movement. Imagine that.
Hiding it in plain sight. They have converted a lot of passenger ferries into being amphibious vessels, enough to carry a battalion worth of equipment. I can see them doing that and pushing that from farther up the coasts. So they have a lot of port options, more than the UK did for the Normandy invasion. Maybe they try an airborne invasion.
Would they actually be able to mass the troops down that you'd have to get the lift capacity to, whether it's seaborne or airborne, without us understanding a month or two in advance? Because people are telling me, pretty well placed sources, that this whole exercise of shutting down 400 million people, and particularly the eastern seaboard of the
Israel?
country, is not
Israel
related
sources?
to COVID.
Mossad
They go out and
sources,
spray some
Bannon, that
stuff,
you
and
always
the big
talk
whites
about?
come out to kind of do it. But he wants to show them they can lock it down. They want to show they can do it, and also it's about troop movement. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on that are more about the politics of Xi being reelected to a third term
In November, the 20th Party Congress,
and being able to squash
not a third term, basically emperor for life.
Again, it's just the hypocrisy. Bannon despises China, but yet has someone who worked with Xi Jinping in the Uyghur concentration camps for the security and the infrastructure, someone who put all of that and supposedly in place, and probably tortured Christians as well in the Christian camps too over there in China, in the dissident camps, is this man. So this man supposedly hates the CCP, but yet he platforms boosts this man on his show about China invading Taiwan when he's armed and helped and abated the communist Chinese, allegedly. But this man hates China. It's just too much.
Correct. Yeah.
To suppress
to
dissent.
quash the Shanghai faction of the Communist Party by
Walk through
locking
that.
down.
Walk that for a second.
You have three factions of the Communist Party. You have the Young Princelings, of which Xi is a member. You have the Shanghai faction and the Communist Youth League. Communist Youth League has been decimated with the anti-corruption campaign. Huge amount of wealth yet, because Shanghai is kind of the finance capital of the mainland China, which is where the ancient Europeans, the colonial trading posts were. Huge wealth concentrated there. That is a rival center of power, and he smashed it with this latest COVID lockdown. I think that's what it was about. It was not about masking an invasion prep.
Yeah, Swan432 says, I don't support any side or root for the people everywhere subject to this psychopaths. Yes, pray for them. Do what you can to help if there is any legitimate charities. Yeah, I agree. I feel bad for the Russian people. I feel bad for the Ukrainian people.
Talk about my theory of the case. They will never do an amphibious thing until they actually have a deal or peace. And the reason is it'd be too catastrophic. Catastrophic particularly to the crown jewel, which is the technology center of Taiwan. But they can enforce a naval blockade, and they can enforce a quarantine. And we don't have the ability, the 7th Fleet, as it's constituted today, in particular, let's be blunt, the ship handling, the seamanship,
It's been terrible.
It's disgusting. As a former naval officer, I tell you
multiple fatal collisions at sea, running a Virginia-class submarine into the seabed, losing the Bonhomme Richard, a $6 billion warship, to a fire because it took them 2.5 hours to first get water on the fire. While it's in port in San Diego, a list of terribles that...
For our audience, if you maybe I got to compile this, but if you go read the reports of the surface collisions, it is stunning the incompetence and malfeasance of really the ship's watch of not briefing people. But the scariest thing, as a surface warfare officer, always the elite of the elite were the submariners, right? The report that came out about the Virginia-class submarine, the collision at the mountain, of the incompetence in the watch is Rickover would have fired the entire Pacific Fleet Submarine Command.
But going back to these surface ships that collided with commercial vessels, this is not 1,000 knots closure of two F-18s like in Top Gun, right? No, this is one ship going 18 knots, another ship going 22 knots, and you see each other hours away. On top of a radar that's worth $500 million that's supposed to see everything.
Constant bearing, decreasing range. CBDR.
It's like the second thing you learn is maneuvering board, how to not run into another ship. But yet when they did, Steve, many of the crew were cowering in corners. They had been triggered, and they were horrified that there was this violent, dangerous, deadly act. It's not a good look for the surface Navy.
Scary. Do you believe that the Chinese, remember, one of the things, let's go back to World War II. The Imperial Navy had beaten the Russians, and the Imperial Navy did the sneak attack at Pearl Harbor. But when it came to the moment that counted, in the minute of battle at Midway, they made a couple of fundamental mistakes. We were able to save Midway, turn it around, sink a bunch of their carriers. And we always call that fight. You have to know how to fight the ship. One of the most complicated things in the world is fighting naval warfare, because the confusion gets to be just amazing. We're the heirs to the Royal Navy. We pride ourselves in being that fleet that knows how to fight the ship. And I've continued to argue the Chinese have never really been there. When the balloon goes up and you start smelling cordite, they've never been there. Captain Fennell, who I truly I respect him more than anybody, head of Pac Fleet Naval Intel, who got fired
China
for
doesn't
telling us
have the
almost
best
10 years
Navy.
ago we have no chance of standing up to the Chinese Navy. He says the Navy you're talking about, Steve, doesn't exist anymore. It's not the Pacific Fleet Navy of World War II. It's not even the gun line in Vietnam. This has been support operations in the Middle East. They don't know how to fight the ship, and the Chinese are going to come with massive firepower.
Yeah,
Correct. You have a more woke Navy that has de-emphasized combat readiness in favor of other politically popular mandates from the Pentagon.
Yeah, but it's all pushed by the world order for that to happen.
Going back to
Eric.
Midway, remember we had broken the Japanese code and figured out that they were coming to Midway, and so we had 3 carriers laying in ambush, which really helped. But the fact,
Laying in wait.
but also very individual effort. Don't forget that there was a couple pilots that scored multiple hits on carriers in the same day. So a lot of this comes down to individual.
Is that
teamwork added with punctuated by individual?
I could see there's two different things here. One, we keep talking about how out of date the American military is, which could be possible, could be by design for that to happen, for us to fall from a unipolar world, America dominant being the world police, to a multipolar world. So maybe the elite have neglected United States military infrastructure and weaponry for decades, and that's why. So that's one way of looking at it. Or it's all false, and we still have the most advanced weaponry known to mankind. I don't know. I'm just there's two positions. One of them is true. One of them is true. So
this gets exactly my point about the Chinese. They are not taught individual initiative. It's all group. Are our teams ready to go, do you think, at the level we had in the 7th Fleet post World War II? Are we still at that level of individual initiative and team action that we've been really been living off of for 50 or 60 years?
I worry that the de-emphasis on combat culture has driven those.
What do you mean combat culture?
Are you ready to fight tonight? And you were going to win at any cost. Okay, I worry that those kind of people.
I wonder if Erik Prince is disparaging the United States military in the hopes that he can get more contracts for some sort of mercenary position if World War III went down.
People have been driven out of the military because they're just sick of woke nonsense. And when those few go away, the military loses a huge amount of its fighting capability.
This whole situation with Trump and everything like this emphasizes we've got a lot of work to do with the military, the uniformed services, particularly the senior level. I am shocked by the wokeness, and not just that, the disregard for the chain of command. They totally disregard the chain of command.
Because there's no consequences. There's no consequences for failures. There's no consequences for spectacular victories. It's everyone gets a prize for showing up, and that's the problem.
But nobody wants a spectacular victory because they understand if you have one screw up, you're cashiered, right? You can't.
Remember, the admirals that won the Pacific War in World War II, right?
Nimitz,
court-martialed as a JO. They called Burke 31 not Burke because he ran his destroyer squadron aground. These guys would have blemishes on the record that would disqualify them today, but those guys got it done because they knew how to fight.
Short break, back with Erik Prince in a moment.
All right. We can't do hard things, you guys. We can do hard things, Stephen K. Bannon. We got some sort of, I don't know, Diana of the Ephesians or something next to Jesus. I don't know what that's supposed to represent, but can't really see it too well, but it's like some sort of Diana of the Ephesians goddess worship there. I don't know. All right, so that's on Rumble. Of course, Rumble's owned by Trump Media and Technology Group, or at least there's a major partnership between the two, and Trump's Acquisition Corp. So they have no problem promoting Bannon. So let's get to the meat. That was just kind of like an appetizer. Let's get to the meat, which is Erik Prince's new app suite. Unplugged, how to get big tech off of your phone and out of your data.
Here's one thing that you've been obsessed with, and I know Erik pretty well, that when he gets his mind on something, it's action.
No, Vlad, you're 100% right. I was discussing that. I've talked about that. They're run by the world elites. So who wins, who loses, they decide. That's true. It's all a moot point. Yeah.
In action. You had a concept a couple of years ago, because you've been bugging me about this for years, about this situation, about big data, big tech, being able to not just get into your communications, but monetize everything you got and eventually monitor what you're doing. So walk through the idea you had,
Sure.
and now you bring it to fruition.
I think we've all seen over the last few years that the pendulum of big government and big tech and the national security state has swung way too far in the direction away from liberty.
Which Erik Prince was a major part of big surveillance. What's he talking about, liberty?
And so we have,
And you're part of that. You've been part of that national, both as a SEAL, and then later as a contractor, or some would say a mercenary. That you know this better than anybody. It's got
not a mercenary working for America.
A patriot. No, but
Yeah, no, that's not true. You're working for the world order. Erik Prince was. I mean, he is the son of Edgar Prince. I don't. It's all just.
a foreign legionnaire. But your concern, as you've seen the apparatus, it's gotten way. We had Jane Zirkle on here about the facial recognition. It's gotten way over the top about what it could do.
This is why I'm very much in favor of wars being put out quickly and not the continuous loop of failure that we've had, because eventually all those tools can be used against the citizenry. So what we've developed is a phone with our own operating system, our own hardware, without an advertising ID, that is effectively unhackable. We've taken all the elements of a highly secure, government-grade encrypted phone and making it available to every man on the street. It's called Unplugged Systems.
Hey, Drew, not to get into a Catholic Protestant debate, but Mary was a woman, though a honorable and righteous woman, and the only mediator between man and God is our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, as the Apostle Paul has written. So, I am a Christian, but I would say that praying to Mary is not Christian, and your Mariology, your beliefs of Mary, which, let me see, which was it, Pope? Which Pope was it? See, most Catholics don't even know this. They claim that the history of the church and the importance of the history of their church, of the Roman Catholic Church, not the Catholic Church, not the Apostolic Church, the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, and so they don't really look into the history of it. So most of your Mariology, if not all of it, comes from the Proto-Evangelium of James, or the Gospel of James, which I believed as a Gnostic. And it's a 2nd century infancy gospel, and it was condemned by Pope Innocent I in 405 and rejected by a Gelasian decree around 500 AD. So if you're a Catholic and you believe in the infallibility of popes, then you can't believe as a source base of your Mariology, because that was condemned by the Gospel of James. See, that's how hypocritical the Catholic Church is there, bud. How many non-American Catholics have I met? I don't know. One.
Unplugged.com/war room.
And what do you mean by unplugged? It's a catchy phrase, but what does it mean?
That's the name of the company, because you can unplug from big data, from big tech monitoring your life.
Yeah, I respect Mary, but I don't pray to her, and neither should you.
Whether you're a Google or an Apple user now, they collect and resell your data. They know where you go, what you buy, who you call, and what you browse.
The trade-off for that, they got all that, but the trade-off for that is ease, and it always works. Is there anything, and you got all these different apps and everything, so people know that. I'm trading off total, they can see everything I do, they can monetize everything I do, but I don't have to pay for it, right? and I got easy use. Is unplugged going to work just as well? I have no interruption of service. I can get everything.
So why would anybody trust Erik Prince, former operator of Blackwater, CNP Erik Prince? Why would anyone, okay, trust him to make a phone, okay, that he's working in conjunction with Bannon for, the specialized phone and this unplugged app suite. Okay, we already had a Patriot phone that was pushed by Candace Owens. This is a new Patriot phone, okay? Hence, patriots.win.exe. So now we have a new Patriot phone that was secure app specifically designed, supposedly in part by Erik Prince Academy, or whatever he's calling his outfit now, Blackwater Academy, whatever. And we're supposed to now trust Erik Prince. And we see Bannon pushing it with use promo code War Room, so they're united with this phone. That this is a Patriot phone for patriots. There's a lot of patriots. There's a lot of Christian conservatives. There's a lot of conservatives who are watching Stephen K. Bannon's War Room Pandemic, and they're like, oh, man, I can finally get me a quality phone with secure apps where there's no data being mined. When Bannon was the vice president of Cambridge Analytica under the Mercer family, okay, when he was mining all that data to use for psychographical and psychological and spiritual warfare against conservative Christians and patriots in the United States of America, okay, this man collected data and used data against the citizenry of the world, and he's partnering with Erik Prince, a guy who is corrupt as they come, who's a mercenary, who's a horrible human being, who set up the security allegedly for the Uyghur and the concentration camps in China. Okay, we're supposed to believe that these two traitors to the world came together and with the help of Israel, by the way, developed a phone and an app suite that secure apps that do not mine your data, that you're safe to make your calls, that you're anonymous, that you're protected. We're supposed to believe that these two con artists for the world order made a safe phone for us to use, so our information doesn't get mined or stolen or used. And let's say that you're a whistleblower or you're a journalist and you got some hot information, so you can use this Erik Prince Bannon phone to get the data out. My heart goes out to anyone that falls for the schlock. I don't know. This phone isn't protecting you. These apps aren't protecting you. All the data that goes through this phone, all your personal information, is given to probably some sort of Erik Prince, Bannon, CNP, some sort of subsidiary that's collecting data in Israel. It's a con.
Sure.
I've got on a phone.
Our phone is unlocked, so you can use it with your AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, Deutsche Telekom, or British Telecom phone, whatever that might be. Our app store will carry other apps, all the apps that you're used to using today. We'll give you a real-time scoreboard on your phone of what of your data is being exported by that app. So you actually know what they're taking from you. If you haven't seen the movie The Social Dilemma on Netflix, watch it. You'll be horrified.
Yep.
This phone is the answer to that. If you're pissed off about your phone listening to you, right? I had a direct experience. I managed to piss off my wife, right? Sometimes a husband does that. And she sent me a scorcher of a message on WhatsApp. And for the next week, she was getting advertising from divorce lawyers and from Match.com. Okay? So big tech is
Did
listening.
she retain the former and start hitting the bit on the latter?
No. Still with me. But the point is, I think everyone's had that experience of they're saying something around their phone or suddenly they're getting advertising based on what they said. Our phone is incapable of doing that because we don't have an advertising ID. We will contract in our user agreement that we will not collect or store or analyze or resell their data.
How big a problem is this?
Look, if you're a 16-year-old kid living your life on the internet, posting what you had for breakfast, this is not for you. But if you're an adult that's grown up and values your individual privacy and liberty and your ability to communicate securely, this is the phone for you.
Why isn't it for
Our
the
secure
kids?
messenger.
The kids don't need to
uses
be
curved
protected either,
encryption.
in parents?
It's peer-to-peer. When you download a lot of the other so-called secure apps, you get one encryption key when you download it. With ours, it generates a new encryption key every call. Nothing.
Wow.
Wow. Yes.
It's big.
Nothing stored on servers.
And you don't get charged for that? I mean,
So the charge, $9.99 a month.
Okay,
That's
so
it. So
now-
that is.
Dude, like I would say if this was a real thing, it's not. But if this was a real thing, not bad.
That is the cost.
You don't physically have the phone until this fall, right? Because
Correct.
of supply chain issues. You
Correct.
don't have the phone until this fall.
They're coming. So you can download the app suite right
and
now.
what does that give me
Designed and engineered in Israel, built in China.
if I get the app suite on my existing phone? Right?
If you
it's
have an-
only Android, can't do Apple, right?
Correct. Android phone will take it. You get a VPN. We do not resell that data. You get a fantastic antivirus to keep all the nasties that.
Hence, he said resell, but he didn't say we don't collect. Oh, man. The weasel words. That legalese. He didn't say they don't collect. He said we don't resell.
That may try to infect your phone. We prevent that. And our secure messenger right now. The secure messenger also has a video call function. You can do 20 or more people.
No messages are secure. Nothing that you do, nothing is secure. No app is secure. That's silly.
Encrypted, far safer than Zoom. And, Zoom's calls go back through servers in China. Ours do not.
Once again, unplugged.
So where your servers at? Where your servers at, Eric? They out of Israel? Where your servers at? Where they at? That matters. Are they in America? Huh? Are they in Israel? Are they in Switzerland? Are they Swissy Swiss? Where they? Russia? Where they at, Eric? Where them servers at? They ain't in China. Where they at?
Unplugged.com/war room. $10 a month. Buy it today.
Let's get the special. Okay, let's. I want to pull the camera back because you've been warning people about sub-Saharan Africa, the Caribbean, Latin America, and the Pacific Islands. The Chinese have, the CCP has two strategies.
All right. Let's go to the actual commercial. I think this is what this is.
I don't know if we have a bigger patriot than our next guest. Not really a guest, a contributor, Erik Prince. Erik, I really want to thank you for taking time away on Saturday when you were getting ready to leave. You're in Israel now, getting ready to leave on that long flight to come.
Of course he is. He's in Israel with the up. Oh, Erik Prince, thanks on Sunday. Thank you, Erik Prince. You're such beloved Catholic, you. Being in Israel and working Unite of Malta. Unite of Malta, Eric. Thank you for being on. Thank you for being where Unplugged is formulated and conceptualized and made in Israel. Thank you. I can't make this up. Oh, man, it's so bad.
The feedback I got on the show was just absolutely amazing how you walked everybody through really the global crisis that the Biden administration, the Biden regime has created. But also people were...
Someone get this to Brendan O'Connell. Brendan O'Connell wants to say Belt and Road this, technology transfer that, Silk Road this. I know sometimes that, because, Brendan. I know your Catholicism gets you sometimes, brother. All right, and I know sometimes you go back and forth. You love praising Bannon because Bannon really stood against Kissinger and the Bank of London and the City of London, the Bacon cartels, and CNP Bannon, who's as dirty, as disgusting as they come. That 1 or 2 weeks where he decided, probably because he was told to say these narrative lines against your hatred of Kissinger. Look, I dislike Kissinger too. He's a horrible human being. He's a demon wearing a flesh suit. All right, but. Come on, you gotta cover this, Brendan. This truly is a technology transfer to Israel that's being pushed on patriots, on American citizens, people around the world, conservatives, Christians, conservative Christians. Don't let the patriots like Stephen K. Bannon and Erik Prince win, Brendan. You got to cover this. You got to be upset at Bannon. You can't hide this now. Someone get this to Brendan O'Connell. Please, someone get it to Brendan O'Connell. He needs to talk about the CNP. Tell Brendan O'Connell about the Council for National Policy. Get it out there to him. Oh, nah, he's going to platform boost Jason Funes is what he's going to do and push the Great Awakening. Oh, Brendan, are you really going to cover this? I don't think you are.
We're fascinated by Unplugged because I think people are more and more worried every day about this situation with big tech. Explain to me, where you're in Israel today. Give me a quick update on that, and then tell me about Unplugged.
Yeah, Steve, thanks for having me. You know, that previous segment couldn't have set this discussion up or the need for Unplugged any better. If you have become aware that Google and Apple are controlling your free speech, are throttling your ability to communicate freely with your fellow citizens, then you realize you have a problem, and we have a solution. So I'm in Israel right now. I'm at the Unplugged Tech Development Center, where we've been working hard on developing.
Brendan! Oh, Brendan! And look, I'm having a little bit of fun at your expense, brother. All right? You are smart. You are intelligent, and you have done a lot of good research. Don't get me wrong, okay? Here lately, I don't know why you're siding with the Great Awakening. I don't know why, man. Come on, pull your... Look, stop hitting the hopium. We all hit the hopium sometimes, brother. Just stop hitting the hopium, all right? But look. He's in the Unplugged Technology Innovation Center in Israel. Okay? If this isn't technology transfer, high technology, Israel, okay, Russia's probably involved somewhere, all right? If you don't cover this, you're sold out. Which, I mean, come on, Brendan, come on. Jason Funes, really? Really? Trump's our guy? Really? Bannon's our guy? Really? Oh, come on, brother, come on. I know you're smarter than this, so I don't know what's going on. Oh, maybe I do know what's going on. Would it kill you to mention the Council for National Policy ever, Brendan? Would it kill you? Will it kill you? Oh, you're going to have to cover this now because I called you out on this program. So do it. Cover it.
A completely independent phone system between operating system and our own hardware that is completely separate from the Google and Apple universe. Those companies collect and monitor and sell your data, where you go, who you call, what you buy, and what you browse, to the tune of about $180 a year.
And the Unplugged logo is an Android human with kind of like a power cord. What's up with that? And it also could kind of look like a fist in a little ways, at least down here it looks like a fist, not so much up here. What's up with that?
And that's before even the apps take a slice at you. So we've come up with a standalone phone with a standalone operating system with our own app suite that will let you communicate freely and privately without big tech monitoring you. You can still put other apps on your phone and use them, but the phone will limit what of your data is exported, and it'll tell you in basically a live scoreboard what your privacy score is.
Lies. I don't believe this. I don't lie. You are a liar, Erik Prince. You are a liar. Yeah, Mossad phone. That's the new thing we're going to start calling this Mossad phone. Unplugged's phone is Mossad phone. Use promo code Mossad War Room because Bannon has all those Mossad sources.
So right now you can buy the app suite with our own store. If you have an Android phone, you can buy the app suite with our secure messenger, VPN, and antivirus. You go to unplug.com/war room. You can buy the app suite immediately. The phones will be coming in a few months. Some final integration and supply chain issues we're pushing through, but the phone is on the way to you, and we are literally creating a third rail that sits between the Google and Apple universe, and it will allow patriots to communicate securely, safely, and for you to own your own data.
An Israeli produced and designed third rail with Erik Prince and Stephen Ketamine Bannon pushing. You got to be kidding me!
Once and for all.
Of everything you're doing throughout the world, and you're involved in a lot of places, and always looking out for America's interests. What was it? You've been obsessed with this for a couple of years since I've really spent a lot of time with you. Why have you been obsessed with this, and what was it that drove the Israeli engineers to get all over this?
Look, our seats
Problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialectic. The problem that the Israeli engineers started with the technology transfers and big tech and everything. Oh.
has done amazing things. Like the last thing he's done is develop a phone that controls most of the world's pacemakers, because you really can't have a phone that can be hacked if you're running a pacemaker with it, because you can literally shut someone's heart off with a keystroke. And so he really understands how to harden a phone, how to prevent it from being hacked, and how to secure it from the depredations. Look, in short, the pendulum of big government technology, the surveillance state, and big tech companies has swung way too far in one direction, and we are here to swing that hard back in the other direction towards individual liberty and individual privacy.
I'm pretty sure that they did develop a phone for people like Erik Prince, for people like Stephen Ketamine Bannon. There probably is their version of the phone, right? There's a phone that they're selling to the Patriots, which is a backdoor to give all your data to Israel and who else, okay? All right? You know? But they probably did develop exactly what he said, a phone specifically for them, specifically for the elite, for liberty. So I wonder what type of videos and pics that Stephen K. Bannon and Erik Prince got to swap with each other that needs this level of encryption or this protection. I'm going to let you guys think on your own what I might be talking about there.
If you know, again, hearing that previous segment, Google, if you trust Google with your data at the same time.
Oh, SD 101. Get a free MyPillow and Jack Posobiec screensaver with every phone if you put in the promo code POSO.
They're playing with AI, and Lord knows what else they're doing with it. Then carry on. If you're a 16-year-old...
No. But hang on. This is the key thing. They have lied to people. This artificial general intelligence is so dangerous. They have lied to Congress. They've lied on getting the funding. They are stone cold lying to people about the experiments they're doing with artificial intelligence. And this gets to your point. Not only can you trust these guys, these guys are dangerous to you, Erik Prince.
Correct. And so, not trusting big tech with our communications, we've developed an independent communications platform that you can start to buy right now. You can buy the app suite, unplug.com/war room. There's a 2-week free trial period.
Not put this on your phone. Anybody listening out there, do not put this on your phone or your computer. Do not do this. Don't. No. This is giving you an even further direct line of all your data and all your information to the Israeli government and Israeli elites. Do not do this. Don't do it. I'm just warning you. I wouldn't do this. I mean, don't do it. It's a way for Stephen K. Bannon to do Cambridge Analytica Part 2. Is this Cambridge Analytica Part 2? Oh, man, I never even thought about that. Oh, boy.
So you can try and start to communicate with your friends. The other great aspect of our secure messenger is you can put it on, you can access it through your browser, through a laptop as well. So you can make a secure call through your, through any browser, on any laptop.
I'd rather use Zoom. Okay? I would rather use Zoom, even if it was a life and death situation where I'm about to die and I got to get some data out before I die. To either post it online or get it to a trusted friend. Something I got, some sort of like a Danny Castellero octopus type thing, right? I'd rather use Zoom. I would rather use Zoom than even touch this.
And you can do a multi-screen
I'd rather use Skype.
Video call with
I'd rather use Discord.
Up to 20 people secure. And again, your data is not flowing through some server like it would in Zoom through a Chinese server. So again, we're secure.
Where your servers at, Erik? Are they in Israel, Erik? Where your servers at? Where's the data flowing? Them servers are in Israel, aren't they, Erik? That's where they are. I'd much rather them go to China than Israel.
We're private, and it's all about you owning your data and controlling what you communicate, not big tech monitoring what you can and cannot see.
Real quickly, one more time, how do people, because the phones aren't going to be there till the fall, but how do they get to the other suite of services? Where do they go? Unplugged.com/war room.
You can also reach us on Getter, at We Are Unplugged. Hashtag We Are Unplugged.
Perfect. Okay, Erik Prince, thank you, and thank you for doing it Saturday. Look forward to getting you back, and we'll do it again.
Steve, I'm here in northern Israel, near an air base, and there's a lot of aircraft moving here, so something may be afoot. I hope not, but the incompetence
Near an air base.
of the Biden administration is causing secondary and tertiary ripples all over the world.
It's sick. Sick. We'll send our best regards to everybody. Tell the team over there we have their back, and they are in our prayers.
There's a reason why I titled this stream Patriots.win.exe. Oh, for the love of God. I really hope this thing bombs and no one buys it, but I'm afraid that there's so many people that are going to buy it. There's so many people that are at least going to use the apps. Oh, dear God. Is Alex Jones going to push this next? Over under Alex Jones, CNP Alex Jones has CNP Erik Prince on to push Unplugged. Over under right now in the chat. Over under. 50-50. 60-40 it'll happen. 70-30 it'll happen. 70-30 it won't happen. Over under the Alex Jones is going to be bold enough to have CNP Erik Prince on to push this app. We know Tucker Carlson probably is. Tucker's going to do it right. Tucker's probably a higher, I'd say 80-20. 80-20 Tucker. Tucker's had Erik Prince on before. This wouldn't be outside of the norm for Tucker. Over under that even goes to InfoWars and Alex Jones. What's your over under, chat? Mine's 50-50 at this point. That's how darn brazen they are. That's how darn brazen they are at this point. That's how brazen they are. That he's going to be on Alex Jones pushing this. Uh-oh. Marty says 70-80. 70-80. The more shows, we need to keep an eye on this. Because the more shows that Erik Prince goes on to push this, the more I'm going to be concerned. Because that would mean more that this is like some sort of this is some sort of ploy to get more data. Some sort of Cambridge Analytica 2.0 operation or something. The likes we've never seen. Mark, I can't even say your comment because I'll get a strike. But I agree with your comment. This is oh boy. In the comment section, if you see Erik Prince pushing this anywhere else, leave a comment. We need to start getting eyes on this. We need to start keeping track. Because if this starts going like majorly pushed by Tucker and Sean Hannity and Mark Levin, then this is not good. This is not good. This is not good. I don't say this often. Share this video if you have a platform. Please put this video up on your channel. You have my permission to do that with any of my videos. I don't care. But this one's specific. Get this one out there, okay? Because we don't want anybody to buy this phone. This phone is horrible, and I don't think I don't know if I've ever asked anybody to share my work. Like that I can remember share a specific video. Maybe I've done it once or twice, but I don't do it very often. This one, get it out there. Put it on Twitter. Especially drop it in like maybe Patriots.win, the place that replaced the Donald Reddit. Get this out there. People need to know about this. People need to know to stay away from this app and from this phone. This is some Israeli Cambridge Analytica 2.0 stuff for their data. This is directly giving your data to the Israeli government. This is directly giving your data to Mossad. This is directly giving your data to Erik Prince and Stephen K. Bannon. Yeah, Jerry, a Knight of Malta and Gladiator phone. I'm probably going to discuss this tonight with the women from Doom and Gloom, Allie and Sebs. Probably going to talk about this for a little bit. Get this out there. Share, you know, you don't have to share my video. Just share the video of Bannon and Erik Prince talking about it and saying, hey, look, Israel and Erik Prince, you know, CNP Blackwater, Erik Prince is involved in CNP, Bannon is involved in Cambridge Analytica, okay? Get this out there somehow. Warn your family that are conservatives, that are MAGA, that are still trapped under delusion. Get this out there. We don't want anybody to fall prey to this. This is very sad. This is very deceptive and very sad. It's very, very sad. Very sad. All right, everybody. That's it. God bless you. I'll be back later tonight, probably about 8:45.